There you go.
Hi everyone, welcome to today's Azure and AI Show. My name is Monica. I'll be hosting today, and we have a wonderful MVP team today. So we have Frank, Dan, and Hal, along with Julio. They're here to help me if I need any support from them. And we have our wonderful presenters today, Nandeep and Smita, and their topic is building smarter AI agents and with Microsoft IQ. So they will help us start the session. So, Smita and
All right. Great. Thank you. Thanks, everyone. Thank you for inviting us. And it's great to be here presenting at the Azure and AI show. So, hello, everyone. Welcome. Thank you for joining us today. And we are going to talk about how we can build the smarter AI agents with Microsoft IQ. Okay. So, now that we are going or moving beyond the idea of just AI as a clever chat window and probably looking at the agent as a goal-driven kind of a participant into our real work. Okay, now when we talk about a single kind of a capable model, it is only one part of that capable agent. But again, to genuinely be useful, the agent also need certain tools, orchestration, trusted context, evaluation, and governance. Now, in this session, we will try to make it practical. So we will show where the Foundry fits, how Microsoft IQ help us close the context gap, and what to consider when we move from an impressive kind of a prototype to the something the people they can rely on. Okay, all right. So this is kind of an context for this session that we'll be talking about. But before we go deeper dive into the technical, let me quickly introduce myself. And again maybe the perspective that I can bring into this discussion. So hi everyone, myself Nandeep Nachan. I am Microsoft MVP as well as Microsoft certified trainer, uh, Microsoft 365 consultant based in Pune, India. And then I spent significant part of my work helping teams translate the Microsoft 365 Power Platform Azure capabilities into the solution that organization can actually adopt to. Along with that, I do speak, write, blog, and create the video content. So you can see all of my social media channels, blog, YouTube channel, and everything onto the screen. So if in case you want to have any further discussion after this, please feel free to get in touch with me. And with me today is Smita.
Hello all, myself Smita Nathan. I am from Pune, India. I'm a Microsoft MVP and I'm author of these two books. These are some of my social handlers by which you can get in touch with me. So let's see what we are going to cover today. So here is our roadmap for the session. So first we will establish why the agentic AI has become the next frontier. We will distinguish an agent from familiar automation and from a conversational assistant because the terminology matters. So if we call every chatbot an agent, we design the wrong operating model around it. The second one, we will break down what actually makes an agent smart. We will look at reasoning, tools, actions, memory, retrieval, and as well as the orchestration. As we do that, listen for a recurring theme. The intelligence of the model does not remove the need for good system design. Third, we will introduce a Microsoft Foundry as an environment where the models, tools, agents, and evaluation come together. Then we will spend a time on Microsoft IQ, the context layer in this story. So we will look at four perspectives: how people work, how the business operates, and what knowledge agents can trust, and what is happening beyond the organization. And after that, we will make the ideas concrete with our two demos. So the first is focuses on building an agent, and the second shows what changes when that same agent receives real grounded context. So with that, we will move ahead and we will see that why agents and why now. Okay. So this is not simply a story about the models becoming a more capable. It is also a story about how we are changing and what we ask AI to do. So for the first wave of generative AI, The typical interaction was, here is my prompt, give me a response. So that is useful, but a human still owns every next step. So we copy the output, decide whether it belongs, and open another system, check the permissions, update the record, and follow up also. An agent changes the unit of interaction. So instead of asking only for the content, we can give it a goal also. So the agent can reason about the next step, call an appropriate tool, inspect the result, and continue until it reaches an outcome or until it encounters a boundary that requires a person. And let's talk about why now. So the because the pieces are getting together, capable models, accessible APIs, enterprise data platforms, connectors, managed runtimes, evaluation tooling, and stronger governance patterns. So the right question is not, can we build an agent? The right question is, which decisions and actions are safe to delegate, under what context, and with what evidence. So the next thing is, we are going to check from automation to agentic system. So here is the progression from the automation to agentic system. So on the left, traditional automation is a rule-based and deterministic as well. So we define the path in advance. If this happens, do that. It can be extremely fast and reliable when the environment is stable, but it is brittle when inputs vary, a step is missing, or the process changes. So the next thing is, assistants help us the answer the questions, summarize the information, and draft the content. And the natural language make the interaction easier, but the assistant usually does not own the outcome. It returns the text, the human performs the work. So an agent goes further, it receives a goal, forms a plan, reasons about what to do next, and uses the tools to act. So the important phrase is goal driven, not the prompt driven. Okay, so the path may change depending on what the agent discovers. So at the far right are the agentic systems, the multiple specialized agents contributing towards one objective. So one may retrieve the knowledge, and another may validate a decision, and another may execute an action, and another may escalate an exception also. So think about the process in your organization. Is it stable enough for automation, or does it only need an assistant? Or does it contain the enough ambiguity and a tool used to justify an agent? So the goal is not to move everything to the right. So the complexity is not the progress. So use the simplest model that can reliably own the required outcome. So, what actually makes an agent smart? Let's talk about that one. So, the first ingredient is reasoning. A model examines the goal, the current state, and the available option, then chooses a next step. So, this is where an agent can handle the ambiguity or combine the different kinds of input. But the reasoning must operate inside the boundaries, otherwise, the flexibility becomes unpredictability also. So the second ingredient is the tools and actions. So the tools turn the language into work. So they may be APIs, code functions, connectors, searches, or workflows as well. A good tool is a narrow, clearly described, permission aware, observable, and where possible, reversible also. So the agent should know not only how to call it, but when not to call it. So the third one is the grounded context. A memory carries forward relevant state, retrieval brings in documents, data, and facts from the trusted sources. So this is then the difference between an agent that sounds right and one that can show why it is the right. So the model capability, tool access, and the context reinforce one another. A stronger model cannot compensate for a misleading tool description. A perfect API cannot compensate for missing permissions, and a large knowledge index cannot compensate for stale or contradictory sources. So, this is where the Microsoft IQ enters our story. It provides a way to think about the different kind of context and enterprise agent needs. Next one, we are going to talk about agents versus the traditional automation. So let's compare an agentic approach with this traditional automation more directly. So when it's come to the traditional automation, it begins with a fixed path. We model every branch and then we can anticipate. So this gives us predictable behavior, which is valuable for the high volume stable regulated processes. But when reality is different from the diagram and the flow may stop or route to a generic exceptions queue. A process change often means a re-engineering the workflow. An agentic approach begins with a goal and allows the path to be discovered. An agent can interpret an exception, gather more information, select another tool, or ask also for the clarification. So the change may be handled by updating the instructions, adding a knowledge, or exposing a new tool rather than rebuilding every branch. So that flexibility comes with a cost. The behavior is no longer fully predictable by design and it must be evaluated and guarded also. So here is a practical decision rule. If you can enumerate the path and the cost of deviation is high, prefer deterministic automation. And if the task requires interpretation uh, interpretation across the varied inputs, but every action can be bounded and observed, an agent may add the value. So, in many real solutions, the best architecture is the hybrid. The agent handles the interpretation and exception routing, while deterministic workflows handle the final transactions. So do not ask automation or the agents. Ask which part requires judgment and which part must remain deterministic.
All right, so now that let us get into our main thing and let us start talking about Microsoft Foundry. Okay, so again, we are not be just concentrating on Microsoft Foundry as one tool to create your agent, but also we will be switching between various tools, even with Microsoft Copilot Studio, Copilot SDK, and so on. Okay, but to start with Microsoft Foundry, it is a part of our story where agents get built, and again, this is a place where we can play around with the agents, the production ready kind of an agent into the system with the help of instructions, models, tools, knowledge, memory, orchestration, identity, evaluation, and so on. Okay, so first thing is model is very important, but the quality of the overall agent depends on how these all elements they work together. All right, so let us get started. So Microsoft Foundry at a very glance is like it brings together all of the models, agents, tools, and evaluation into one platform that can be reached through a portal, even through SDK, as well as through API. So let me just quickly go to the Microsoft Foundry. So this is the Microsoft Foundry new portal that we have on. And again, this is a place from where we can discover all of the models. And when I was just checking today itself, and we have almost 11,600 plus kind of models which are available here to start building our agent. So that means we do have huge number of models that to choose from. Now with that, let us quickly go into a small kind of a demo, a very basic demo, like how we'll be able to build the agent with Foundry, and then we will go for like why do we need IQ in this case, right? So let us go very shallow, just smaller thing like how we'll be able to build the agent. So we'll go on to the build agent. Right now you can see that I do have few types of agent here. So this is one of the agent which is prompt based. Another one is prompt based, but at the middle even you can see that I do have hosted agent as well. Okay, so that means instead of directly creating those from the Foundry portal, I can maybe host them into a container and make them run onto the Foundry portal as well. Okay, so even those options are available. Now, as we go on to the new agent, we do have these two options if in case we want to create it as a prompt-based kind of an agent or a hosted agent. As soon as we go on to building of the agent, let's say I will just name it as a hotel agent. Uh, So what we will do here is that we will simply build the RAG kind of a pattern, retrieval augmented generation, to get the information from certain files. Okay, very basic demo to start with. So here, this is the hotel agent that we have got, and in the instruction we will just write like you are an you are an AI agent to help users find the hotel related information. Okay, all right. So now that by default, all of these agents that we create, they will have access to the web search. So that means they will be able to get the information from the internet. We do not want to do that, but at least we want to upload our own files. So in this case, we do have various tools available that we can use directly, or even I can go for uploading of files. Now, as soon as we upload the files, it does create a RAG pattern in the background by using the Azure AI search. So we already have some files uploaded there to save the time and get that index built. So all those files that you can see, like we do have few hotel information from various cities, for example, Las Vegas, New York, Dubai, and so on. So we are just going to attach this here, and that's it. So this is going to be a pretty much basic demo to start with. I will just save this agent so that our first agent will be saved. And as soon as it's saved, I will say like um, suggest me hotels in Dubai. Okay. Correct. Very basic. So what it is going to do now is that it is going to get that information from the RAG pattern that we just have built here. So this is nothing but our RAG pattern, the retrieval augmented generation. And this is the proof that here is the citation. Okay. So here you can see that we do have certain citations coming up, which shows that this particular information is being referenced from this file, which is inside of our index. Okay. Very basic. But now what you must have seen here is that as soon as I create the agent, every time in that agent I have to go and configure the tool. Now to overcome that, or maybe when we will start building more complex kind of an agent, what will happen is like we will go into the tools, and again there will be various tools that will be connecting to. So specifically there are three types of tools which are available. First thing is the configured one. Again, the work IQ is one of that we will be using in the later demos, but definitely there are some pre-configured kind of tools that we can use as it is without any configuration. We can just plug and play with those, and it will help us to get the information from those systems. The second category here is about the catalog, wherein you will be able to see various MCP servers. So for example, here you can see that we do have variety of remote as well as local MCP servers that we'll be able to use. And the third category is about if in case you already have your own APIs, or maybe your own tools, or if in case you do have an agent which is probably running outside of the Microsoft 365 ecosystem, or Microsoft Azure ecosystem, or maybe beyond Microsoft Foundry. In that case, we can go ahead and use this agent to agent protocol, A2A protocol, to call those agents as well. But with each of that, what is happening right now is that we have to configure that tool every time. Okay, so let's say for example, I want to get some information from SharePoint. I will come to this place. I will select this as a tool. I will configure to use it as a SharePoint, and then I will go with that. So every time, whenever we will create the agent, we'll have to take that extra effort to configure the knowledge source. The second issue with this is could be there will not be any consistency. Let's say, for example, someone can use some different tool or some different system than the one which is expected. Now, to overcome that, we do have something called as knowledge. So in this knowledge, what we can do simply is that we can start creating our knowledge base. So we can simply click on create a knowledge base, and this is a place from where it gets more interesting. Like we can give some description in the model. We can choose the model that we want to use with this knowledge base, and we can also define the retrieval reasoning effort, whether it should be just minimum, low, or medium, and again how we want to retrieve the data in which format. Let's say for example, we just want to extract the normal data into raw format. We can go with extractive data. If in case we want to get that information as a generative answers, we can go with the answer synthesis. Again, we can define the retrieval instructions and so on. But more importantly here, we can just define various sources. Okay, so this is one place, but from where I can connect to work IQ, fabric IQ, web IQ, and everything. I can even click on browse more, and here you can see that we do have various types of knowledge agent which are available here. Now what we are going to do is that I will just select this work IQ to start with. I will click on connect, and that's it. So again, there is a Microsoft article on this. So let's say for example I click learn more. There are this one is broken I guess now, but there's a set of instructions that you will have to follow. You will have to enable your tenant to work as a for the work IQ and everything. And as of now you can see that this work IQ is in review. Okay, so for that reason probably do not use that into the production yet, but this one has got a very good capability that will be covering why. I will just click on create, and then this knowledge source has been added to my knowledge base. Similarly, I can go for, and again, probably we can add Azure Blob Storage, Web, Azure AI Search Index. So all those information we can go ahead and add here. Okay. Now, what advantage that we get here is I will just click on Save Knowledge Base here, and as soon as now I turn into any of my agents, I do not have to reconfigure all those knowledge one by one. So I can simply go onto any of the agent that I have created. I can just go onto the knowledge and I can select that knowledge which I created. Let me just quickly refresh, and then it should come up the knowledge base that we have created. So here let me just connect to this Foundry IQ first, and then here we do have that knowledge base. Okay, so I can simply connect this agent to that knowledge base. So that means I do not have to keep creating that knowledge base every time. So this is the advantage that we get. Now what happens in the background is like still there is a rack pattern which is running behind that. And for that reason, if in case you just go back to the uh, Azure AI search which is running behind the scene for your Microsoft Foundry, and just go for these knowledge sources. This is a place where you will be able to see all those knowledge sources are being created. Okay, so you will be able to control them from both the places. Either you can get it added here directly, make them use into your agents, or good way is you can start with the knowledge and then start adding your knowledge. Okay, so this is a basic kind of a demo, but shows you the new capabilities, like how you will be able to create a knowledge, so that you can just specifically go to those knowledge sources, add them, and make your own knowledge base, and then use that repeatably into multiple agents. Okay, so that you stick to one knowledge base, and then you do not deviate from the real needed information. Okay, now to extend that, we will be looking into something called as Microsoft Foundry Agent Service. So again, once we create the agent has got certain instructions, tools, and the conversational threads, which are kind of an first class kind of an objects. Again, we do have state and memory that can be handled by the service rather than the rebuilding it that into each of the application, so that we as a team can just focus more onto the effort or the behavior design, like what the agent is trying to achieve, what evidence it should use, and what tools that it may call, and where it should stop. Okay, so these are the things that we can do. Now to get this more capability, there are four building blocks that are available with every agent. So we do have tools which lets agent do something. So tools are considered to be the hands of the agent. So we do have functions, APIs, or code interpreters, or even a simply a connector that should expose the specific capability with the clear contract to this agent. Again, we do have that knowledge that we just have seen, which lets us the agent retrieve the relevant information from the documents and data. We do have memory, which maintains the continuity. For example, the short-term memory, which holds state of the current thread or task, a long-term memory, which may capture the durable preferences or context. And then lastly, we do have orchestration, which coordinates the work. So a single agent, it may be sufficient, but for the complex objectives, we need to have multiple agent, and then we need to hand off the work across those explicit boundaries. Okay, so in that case, we can go for the orchestration. Now, with that, let us come to the major part, that like why we do have this Microsoft IQ. So Microsoft is about a context that makes agent smarter. So now we use the word context very frequently here, but it can hide several different needs. So for example, does the agent need to know who owns the next step? Does it need a consistent definition of a customer or a product? Also, does it need approval policy? Or even does it need to know what has changed in the market this morning? Okay, so those are not the same retrieval problem. They involve different sources, different permissions, even the freshness expectation of the user of the agent, as well as any kind of an risk which are involved. So think of Microsoft IQ not just like more data for the model, but as the way to bring the right context into the agent's decision at the right moment. So that is what we are going to see, like how Microsoft IQ bridges that context gap. Okay, so in a very simple sentence is like a capable model with no context can be confident as well as wrong. Okay, so a general model does not automatically know how your people work. It can infer like who owns the decision from the organization chart alone, but it cannot know the informal kind of an hands off that can make the process succeed. Okay, so for that reason, we do have something called as Microsoft IQ, which tries to fill that entire context gap. So it can see like how your people work, so and also like it does not know how your business is structured and everything. So all those gaps are being filled out by the Microsoft IQ. So now let us try to see like what those Microsoft IQ composed of. So Microsoft IQ is composed of four features that we have onto the screen. So first thing is work IQ. So work IQ describes like how employees work. For example, the people, collaboration patterns, meetings, communication, workflows, any kind of an handoff procedure, and so on. So it helps agent to understand a human operating context around a task. The second pillar is about fabric IQ. So it describes how the business operates. For example, the entities, definition, system of record, actions, which gives organization a consistent operational model. Third thing, we have got the Foundry IQ, which describes like how agent unlock the trusted knowledge. For example, there could be certain policies, approved content, authoritative documents, retrieval, citations, even the freshness of the content. And lastly, we do have the Web IQ, which extend the context beyond the organization. For example, it can help us to retrieve the current web information like news, images, videos, and so on. Okay, so these are kind of an layers uh, which which help us to answer various different questions. For example, who is involved? What does this business object mean? Which source is authoritative? What change outside of our walls and all those things. Now, when we have probably a single agent, it may use more than one layer. Maybe it can use all of them as well, but it should not retrieve from everything by default. Okay, so the context should be task shaped. For example, for a policy answer, external web content might be distracting or unsafe as well, but maybe for market monitoring kind of a task, internal documents alone may be incomplete as well. So we just have to make a decision which IQ level to use at what point of time. Now let us go deeper into each of those IQ level. So we do have work IQ. Okay, so work IQ is about how people actually work. So this work IQ can bring signals from your meetings, email, chat, documents, and it can help identify who owns that information, who has the relevant expertise, like what commitments have already been made and what the next handoff should be. So this is often kind of an unwritten shape of the process, and again, it is part of never made into the formal kind of an procedure. Okay, so now let us go into one of the demo and let me show it to you like how the uh, Microsoft work IQ works. Okay, so let me just quickly go here. Now that we just have seen that we had added that Microsoft IQ here, I can ask the questions and it can work with that. But also I'm going to show you same demo from the Microsoft Copilot Studio. Okay, so what I will do is I will just quickly go ahead and try to create a new agent. And right now you can see that I'm into the new Copilot Studio experience as well. So I will just name this agent as the work IQ agent, and I just want to give some instruction to this agent saying like you are an agent powered by work IQ. Your role is to help employees get the work done by using organizations connected work context including relevant people, emails, meeting, and so on, and just that help user to find, understand, summarize, and act on the work related information, okay, and so on. Now, here as well, we do have flexibility to choose our own model. Probably I will just simply go with the Cloud Opus 5, which is the default model as of now here. Now, what we will do is I will just simply go on to the preview, and I just want to see like how this particular work IQ works. Okay. So, okay, before that, what I have to do is I will have to add the knowledge. Okay. So I will just go on to the adding of the knowledge. We'll go on to the advanced, and okay, so here I do not see that part. Just give me a moment. Oh, okay, let me just save this first, and then we will try to take it one more time. Okay, let it save. But okay, meanwhile I can go on to the tools as well, and here we do have various tools available, and from here I will just try to search for Microsoft IQ. And okay, so here as of now, okay, probably I was getting the Microsoft IQ here. Let me just try to search for IQ. Okay, so here at least we do have Foundry IQ, which I can use. Okay, looks like right. Okay, I can probably go ahead and use this work IQ instead. So I just have click work IQ and then I will click on add. So right now you can see that work IQ has been added here, still into the preview. So do not use that directly into the production. Let me save this agent. So nothing fancy here, we just have added it as a tool. So by adding that work IQ as a tool, it will know the entire context of how the employees work. Okay, now to test it out, I do have one of my colleague called as Debra. So I will be using the query for Debra, like show my recent conversations with Debra Burger. Okay, so I do have certain email, the Teams messages, or even certain Viva messages, which are probably done with the Debra Burger. So what this work IQ will do is it will try to fetch all that information from the organization's connected work context. So it will include all the people, email, meeting, and so on. Now that you can see that since it is trying to get the information, and since it is trying to use the tool called as work IQ, it will need the permissions. Okay, so we just need to allow that tool usage for this agent. So it will go ahead and then it will now try to fetch the information using this tool. So it will include everything, including your people, emails, meetings, documents, any kind of a conversation, or maybe any other business information that that has been authored to access for me when I had an interaction with this user called as Zebra. So it will understand the context, it will summarize, it will try to act on that work related kind of information, and this work IQ will help us to ground the responses in the um, organizational level of context rather than relying on to any kind of an assumptions. Since it is trying to get this information from various sources, so here you can see that most of my interactions with this user are on email. Okay, so email is one of the communication channel that I have been using for interacting with this user. So that's the reason email is at very top. You can see that even this work IQ has identified that I do have most of my interactions with Debra onto email. And again, it has given few of the references of what kind of an interactions I had with this user. Now, if in case I go down here, you can see that again, I do have other media of communication with this user from Teams meeting. So again, it has given all that information as well. Now, if in case we want to go deeper, probably we can ask like, okay, in this case, what are the documents which are shared by Debra and everything. and it can give us all that information. Okay, so that means whenever I will have a conversation with this agent, I do not need to explicitly give the information about my colleague called as Debra, all of the meetings which I had with Debra, and get the information. But simply I can just say, okay, I have a I have this as my work IQ, and I want to go with that. Okay, so this is how we'll be able to use. But now this is not just two places where it will be able to use. So I just have shown like we can use that as a knowledge base instead of Microsoft Foundry as well, even in Copilot Studio. But if in case you want to also extend that onto the Copilot SDK, yes, you can do that. So to do or to show that, let me just go onto the command prompt. I do have Copilot SDK installed already, or Copilot CLI installed here already. So I will just type Copilot, and then it will spin up the Copilot. Okay, so firstly, to use this Copilot agent here, we'll have to allow the access. Now, this works onto something called as plugins. Okay, so to install that plugin, I just have to say go into the plugin, and then go into the marketplace, and then here we have to add something called as Microsoft slash work IQ. Okay, so I already have it added so that we can save the time. But firstly, we'll have to start by adding that plugin called as work IQ from the marketplace. Now, once that plugin has been added, we will have to install that plugin. So to install that, what we have to do is we'll have to run this command called as plugin install, and then work IQ. Sorry, work IQ at the rate here, work hyphen IQ. So that this is the command that we'll have to run, and then it will install this plugin here directly. Now, once you have that plugin installed directly, what you can do is even you can go ahead and just try to search for skills, and then it can help you find all of these skills. Okay, so right now you can see that I do have various skills available here, right from Microsoft Foundry, Canvas app, and everything. But this is the one which is Work IQ that we'll be using. Okay, so to use that again, what I will do is I will run the same query here called as like show my recent conversations with my colleague Debra. Okay, so in this case, I have not yet logged in, so I will have to just do slash login so that I can log in. Okay, just give me a moment. But okay, if in case it takes too much of time, probably I will just skip this demo. Okay, right, this is fine. Okay, now let me. Okay, so now it has reloaded all those MCP servers that I already have used with my session. Now I will again go back and then ask it to show the conversation with my colleague called as Debra. We are going to get the same result, almost the same result that we also saw from the Copilot Studio. But let us see that. The only point I want to make here is like, oh, okay, looks like some error here with work IQ. But okay, let me just try it one more time. So the only point here is like we do have work IQ, but yes, we can use that work IQ in different context. Okay, so okay, looks like I'm getting some errors here, but you just have to believe me that yes, we can use this work IQ with GitHub Copilot CLI as well. So we do have one work IQ, but we can use it all across, maybe instead of Microsoft Foundry, Studio, as well as with the GitHub Copilot CLI as well, right? So that is what we have got for the work IQ. Okay, so with work IQ, you do not have to set your context every time, the people that you work with, the information that you want to retrieve, and everything. Just use the work IQ, and it will help you stay into the context of what you do already. And again, we do the best example that we have got here is which is upcoming with Microsoft Scout as well. So in Microsoft Scout, again, it is being based mostly onto the work IQ, so that we do not have to set the context every time, but it knows like how we work, what are the operations that we perform, what are the colleagues that we interact with, and then it will try to build that information from that entire context. All right, so now let us move ahead. We do have another thing called as Web IQ, which provides the context beyond our walls of the organization. So it can bring the current information from the internet, from the web, maybe news, images, video signals into the agent's work. And again, that is very useful for the market awareness, competitor kind of a monitoring, external research, and even questions where the internal data alone is not enough for the working of our agent. Now again, we can reach for this layer when the answer depends on what has changed today, or when an external claims needs a second kind of a source. For example, a briefing agent, it may combine internal account context with recent public developments. Maybe a research agent that may compare internal position with public guidance and so on. So these are few of the use cases wherein web IQ will be more effective. Okay. Again, let's say for example, when we have the open web, which requires different trust posture. For example, sources which vary in authority, freshness, intent, as well as quality. In that case, we can go for this web IQ. Now, another thing like how to access WebIQ, since it is still into the preview, we directly do not have option to use it. But what we can do is we can go to something called as HTTPS WebIQ dot Microsoft dot AI, and then this is a place from where we can get started using WebIQ. Right now, it is still invitation based, so we just need to join this wait list, and then once the request is approved, we'll be able to get started and then use that web IQ here directly. Okay, so as of now, my tenant is not authorized for that, so that's the reason I won't be able to show that as a demo. But while if in case you're still waiting for web IQ to get into the picture, meanwhile, what you can do is you can just simply use the Bing kind of a search which is available. But again, once the web IQ comes into the picture, definitely we'll have some more context, as well as we'll have some more advanced kind of a thing, so that we can use this kind of an agent for market awareness, external research, and everything. But as of now, until web IQ probably becomes very much available for everyone, what we can simply do is we can go ahead and then probably we can add a sources for this web. Okay, so this is nothing but just the Bing search, but until at least web IQ becomes available, this is just the alternative that we can use here. All right, so just moving ahead, then we do have Foundry IQ, which focuses on the knowledge your agent can trust. So again, it brings the retrieval across approved kind of a documents and knowledge bases, maybe with citations and freshness that can be inspected. And it also supports the idea of one knowledge layer, which is kind of an serving multiple agents. So now team, they do not need to create a separate inconsistent copy of the organizational truth. And this is what we also have been seeing into this demo as well. So here you can simply go onto the knowledge and you can create your knowledge. Okay, and then we can use that as a Foundry IQ that has got the organization's truth, which is probably a one copy that everyone can use this. Now, you can reach for this layer when we want to maybe have the policies, compliance, product truth, or maybe another authoritative kind of a source, which is required for the functioning in various agents. Now, for example, if employee asks like, what is the approved process for something, now agent should retrieve that relevant policy. It should be able to identify the applicable section and even cite that into the agent conversation. Now, if the source has changed, the answer should reflect the current approved version as well. And for all those scenarios, having one knowledge source or knowledge base will be a strong kind of an implementation for your agent. Again, we can have the knowledge which design probably with more index file. It can also establish source ownership, effective dates, version rules, metadata, permissions, and so on. So this is just one source of information that can be used across various agents. So again, just to reiterate, what we can simply do is we can just start by creating a knowledge base. So you can see the one that we already have created. Once we create that knowledge base, either we can go with the output mode as extractive data or answer synthesis, and here we can keep adding multiple sources. So let's say in the one foundry IQ as well, we can add multiple sources including work IQ, fabric IQ, Azure blob storage, and so on. So let's say, for example, we do have few policies which we have added into the Azure AI search. So yes, we can use that, and at the same time, again, we can use the information maybe even from SharePoint or maybe on WebIQ and so on. So let's say, for example, we do have specifically for SharePoint, we do have two sources here. So this one is the index one, wherein it will index the SharePoint content into the Azure AI search, and then again we'll be able to use that. If in case we do not want to do that, we want to have a live query, in that case we can go for the Microsoft SharePoint remote, and then it will be able to retrieve the information directly from there. But definitely here we do have options to combine multiple knowledge type together so that we can create one knowledge base. Now, once this knowledge base is created, you can simply go back to your agents and try using that. So let's say, for example, this is the okay, probably this is the agent that we had created before. So what we can do simply is we can go onto the knowledge and then attach that knowledge base here. Okay, so this is how we have attached the knowledge base. Now, what is the advantage of this is, let's say, for example, over the time the organizational level knowledge changes. We do not have to go into each of the agent to make those changes. Maybe take out some information and add the relevant one. We will just make changes to the knowledge base, and then that's it. We'll be able to use it from there directly. So this is the advantage that we get with the Foundry IQ. Now the last piece here is Fabric IQ, which is about the how the business operates. So it's at the shared model of the business entities, maybe a live data from the system of record, or maybe actions that the agent is permitted to take. Again, this is very important when answers must reconcile with reporting, or when the agent needs to change a record rather than just finding that information from somewhere. So maybe consider a simple term, maybe a customer. So we do have various aspects like sales, finance, support, product teams, which may each hold a different kind of an representation. Now, once we have a shared kind of a business model that help agent to understand that these records refer to the same underlying entity and which definition applies to the current task. So we should reach out to the Fabric IQ when the agent needs current operational kind of a truth. For example, inventory, account status, order state, capacity, and so on. So it is also relevant when agent needs to execute the allowed action, for example, updating a case or initiating a workflow and so on. Okay, so that is where we will be able to use that. Again, since I do not have the Fabric license, I won't be able to show you the entire demo, but what you can do is we can simply go onto the fabric.microsoft.com, and this is a place from where we can create our own Fabric workspace, and even as needed, we can go onto the ontologies and so on. We can create our own ontologies, and we can also create our agents. Okay, so right now in this case, I do have this as a public source which is available. So on that table that I have created here, we can create the agents as well. And again, we can call those agents maybe in Microsoft Foundry as well. And even let's say, for example, when we want to use this Fabric IQ as a knowledge source, we can simply go into the knowledge base that we have created. So this is a knowledge base that we have created already. We can simply go onto the add source, and we can add the Fabric IQ. Okay, so it will help you to get connected to Fabric IQ. We can connect to the workspace. So right now you can see that yes, I will be able to use this lake house, which I already have it configured here. I can just click on create, and then it will help me connect to that Fabric IQ. So I will just create one agent, and then that one agent will have the knowledge across everything, including the Fabric IQ, work IQ, even the web IQ, if in case we have it configured, so that I do not need to separately set the context like when I say a colleague name, then I'm just referring to the conversation, or maybe when I refer to any of the customer name, it can directly go and get the information from Fabric IQ. Okay, so right now you can see that in one Foundry IQ, I do have multiple things configured for Fabric IQ and Work IQ, and accordingly, I can ask the question, and then it can combine the information from both the places. So let's say, for example, in my conversation with my colleague, I probably have used any customer information, which may be also present into the Fabric IQ. So it can relate that information and give us the consolidated kind of an result. Okay. So these are the four things which are entirely based on like how we can create the um, agents which has got some more IQ. Okay. Okay. So now before we end the session, certain key takeaways here. So first thing is agents. They earn their um, earn their the act. So it is not just the answer, but maybe they look out for the meaningful outcome. Uh, Maybe one conversation at a surface. Secondly, the foundry is where we build, deploy, and observe all of the agents. Microsoft IQ has got the context which makes them feel right. So it can get the information from various sources. It connects the tasks to how people work, how the business operates, which knowledge is authoritative, and what is changing outside of the organization using those four IQ levels. Other thing is we can ground narrowly, we can evaluate the um, agents, we can ship one at a time as a workflow as well. So simple thing here is like start smaller, and again get more on top of that. Maybe we can start with a narrow workflow with a clear owner, trusted sources, bounded tools, and so on. And again, once we reach at some safe kind of a path, we can again reach that escalation path. So we can teach more to the agent about the broad kind of an enterprise level, and make it as an enterprise level kind of an agent, right? Okay, so that is all we wanted to leave this session with, that there is a Microsoft IQ which will help us to build the smarter kind of an agents. All right, so with that, thank you very much for giving us this opportunity. If in case there are any questions, we can take them. But if in case you want to get in touch with us for any further discussion, here are our social media handles to reach to us.
Thank you so much, Nandeep and Smita, for such an insightful session. We got to know a lot about work IQ and all.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
So for the next session, Tiago is not able to join due to personal emergency. We hope he is well and is good with his family. So we won't have any second session, but anyone else has questions can ask in comments.
Great presentation and demo. Nadeep and Smita, very good. Thanks very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
There are no questions.
Any other questions, Dan? Any? You're on mute there, Dan. Dan, you're on mute.
Can you hear me now?
No, we can't hear you.
He had some issue with
Hopefully
his
he's not
laptop.
asking any.
Yeah.
Hopefully he's not asking any tough question. Okay.
I have a question, Nandeep. So what are your runtime challenges that you have faced while actually using it?
See, first thing is like still it is in preview, so that's the reason we miss, at least I'm not suggesting all of the customers to use those into the production environment. but at least yeah, miss, at least I found it useful, maybe still in preview. So when I tried mixing all of them, probably maybe few things wrong with my instructions and so on. So the result which I was expecting, probably it wasn't that I got from mixing up all those four IQs. But again, since all those four IQ levels are very much powerful, it could be because of that as well. But definitely, all those four IQ levels, at least independently, I found them very useful, very powerful. But as of now, like when I'm trying to let's say, for example, when we are trying to maybe respond to any of the proposal from a customer. So obviously we do have some information about that customer into the Microsoft Fabric, and again maybe some conversations onto our email chats and everything. So what I was thinking is probably I can ask some question and try to get some solid kind of a proposal wherein it can get the information from everything, including email, chats, plus which is available onto the Foundry IQ as well. But maybe I'm a bit struggling there. I will not say it is not working, but I will say like I'm a bit struggling there to get into the format which I'm thinking upon. But again, yeah, as I said, it is into the
Okay.
preview. So once it reaches GA, definitely it will work good. But at least independently, I have tried each of those IQ, and it works very perfectly.
Good to know.
I have a question. I haven't been using Foundry, but when you log into the Azure portal, the Foundry is in there. But when you first use it, you have to spin up a VM and give it memory and all this kind of stuff.
For the Foundry, you mean?
Yeah.
At least for the agents.
So is that a separate portal then from the Azure portal?
Oh, okay. So Microsoft Foundry, no, it is not directly. So once you go onto your home page, this is directly available there as a Microsoft Foundry, or you can
Yeah.
just search for Microsoft Foundry. Then from here, you can create a resource, and this is one of the resource that I have
Okay.
created called as Microsoft Foundry. So we can simply go for creation of resource, and this is a same process as creating a resource, any kind of a resource in Microsoft Azure. The wizard, like we can name that resource, the region, and everything. Only thing is like once we create that, we do get some another level of experience here, wherein once you go onto the Microsoft Foundry, this is a place wherein we do have separate API key as well as project endpoint to access this Microsoft Foundry even programmatically into the other applications. And another thing is from here we can create multiple projects as well. So let's say, for example, we want to have separate agents created per department or per project, we can do that. So right now this is the default project that gets created with each of the Foundry resource. But yes, we can go ahead and create multiple projects as well. And again, in each of those projects, we can spin up our own models. I mean to say, we can deploy our own models. We can create our agents and work with them. So the underline is Microsoft Azure itself. So we just have to create a resource from Microsoft Azure, and then we can explore that in more detailed level in Microsoft Foundry. So prior to this, this was used to be called as Azure AI Studio. So there were certain renames, rebranding which has happened. But this is kind of a studio wherein we'll be able to combine all of the AI related functionalities all together. So let's say, for example, even we do have the conversation kind of an or um, the translation services, conversation services, and so on. So we'll be able to combine them all together here and then use it under one umbrella of Microsoft Foundry.
Okay, that's great. That explains that. Thank you. Any other questions?
And And the beauty of using this Microsoft Foundry is like whenever there is a new model that gets published or gets available on the internet, it is available in Microsoft Foundry very quickly because as you simply go on to the Discover, and here, if in case I show it to you, right now we have almost 11,600 plus kind of a models that we can select from. And as soon as new model or new version of model is available, that model mostly is available in Microsoft Foundry to use. Okay, so you can see that right now we do have almost 11,600 plus. Maybe just last or maybe a couple of weeks when I was looking at this at more close level, it was 11,500. So maybe just 2 to 3 weeks, and we do have 100 plus kind of models availability here.
Very good, very good.
Okay, so we are up for the hour. Thank you everyone for joining. Thank you, Sandeep and Smita, once again for such a wonderful session and an overview. Thanks, Frank and Dan and Julio for the time. Thank you, everyone.
Yeah.
See you again
Thank you,
next
everyone.
week.
Thank you for this opportunity, and it was nice to see you. Thank you. See you soon again. Take care.
Thank you.
Thank you. See you all again next week.
See you.
Sounds like a plan.
Thanks all.
We'll be here.